You asked, you prayed, you waited, and still nothing. No sign, no answer. Just silence. Feels like you've been forgotten, right? Wrong. God's silence is not neglect, it's preparation. But most people don't see it that way. They think no response means rejection. They assume delay means denial. They forget that the greatest lessons, the deepest growth, the strongest warriors are all forged in waiting. Waiting is a test. It's easy to have faith when things are moving, when prayers are answered, when doors fly open. But what about when they don't? What about when you're putting in the work, staying disciplined, doing everything right, and still nothing shifts? That's when most people break. They see someone else get the promotion, someone else get the recognition, someone else get the life they prayed for. Meanwhile, they're stuck, grinding in silence, watching, waiting, wondering if God even hears them anymore. The frustration is real. But here's what they don't tell you. God doesn't hand out strength. He forges it in fire. And fire doesn't feel good. It burns. It consumes. It pushes you to the edge of what you think you can take. But if you endure, if you refuse to break, you don't just survive the fire, you become it. This is what the test of waiting is really about. Not about how long you can sit still. Not about how patient you can appear to the world. It's about what happens inside you. Do you crack under the pressure? Do you lose faith? Do you start doubting yourself? Doubting your worth? Doubting God? Or do you use the silence to sharpen yourself? Because here's the truth. God is never inactive. You may not see it. You may not feel it, but He's moving. Behind the scenes, in the unseen, aligning things you don't even know exist yet. The delay isn't punishment, it's positioning. But most people don't last long enough to see it. They quit. They let frustration turn into resentment. They let silence turn into self-doubt. They walk away right before the breakthrough. And that's the real test. Can you keep pushing forward when nothing makes sense? Can you stay disciplined when there's no reward in sight? Can you trust the process when the process is breaking you? Because if you can stand strong while everything inside you screams to give up, then you're dangerous. And when God finally says go, the world won't be ready for what you've become. Just because you don't see results doesn't mean nothing's happening. But let's be real. It feels that way, doesn't it? You put in the work, stay disciplined, do everything right, yet nothing changes. You pray for doors to open, but all you hear is silence. You grind in the dark while others seem to shine effortlessly. And that's when the doubt creeps in. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not meant for more. Maybe God forgot about me. Stop. Right. There. God doesn't forget. The greatest warriors in history, spiritual and otherwise, all had a season of waiting in the shadows. Joseph had the vision of greatness, but before the palace, he had to endure the pit and the prison. Forgotten, betrayed, tested. David was anointed king as a boy, but before the throne, he spent years in the wilderness, hunted, alone, doubted. Job lost everything. Wealth, family, health. And God, silent, watching, letting the fire refine him. Their stories had one thing in common. Delay was never denial. See, God moves in silence. Not for punishment, not for fun, but for preparation. Because most people aren't ready for what they ask for. They want the spotlight without the struggle, the victory without the valley, the reward without the refining. But God doesn't work that way. He builds in the unseen, like a tree's roots growing underground before it ever breaks the surface. You don't see the process, but without it, the tree won't survive. If the roots aren't deep enough, the first storm that comes will rip it from the ground. And that's where most people fail. They mistake delays for dead ends. They quit because they don't see results. They assume God's silence means he's not working, when in reality, he's strengthening their roots. Because blessings given too soon can destroy you. God knows what's ahead. He knows what you'll face. And if you're not strong enough to handle it, that very thing you prayed for could be the thing that breaks you. So he hides you. He refines you in private. He teaches you patience, discipline, resilience, not to deny you, but to prepare you. Because when the time comes, when the roots are deep enough, when the fire has done its work, when you're finally ready, you won't just rise. You'll be unstoppable. You think patience is weak? That waiting makes you passive? That it's just sitting around hoping something changes? No, patience is a weapon. The strongest warriors aren't the ones who attack first. They're the ones who wait, who watch, who calculate, who know exactly when to strike. A lion doesn't chase every noise in the jungle. It waits, it watches, it moves with precision. Because patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. But most people, they can't handle that. They're impulsive, desperate. They want results now. If they don't see progress immediately, they panic, make reckless moves, settle for less than they deserve. And that's exactly why they lose. Because in the waiting, they break. They fold under pressure. They give up on their dreams. They make decisions out of fear instead of wisdom. But you endure. You've learned to sit in the discomfort, to resist the urge to rush, to trust the process even when it doesn't make sense. And that makes you dangerous. Because while others react, you remain steady. While others chase distractions, you stay locked in. While others burn out, you sharpen your mind, your spirit, your discipline. Patience is the difference between a warrior and a fool. A fool lets emotions dictate their moves. A warrior moves with intention. A fool swings wildly, hoping to land a hit. A warrior waits for the opening, then finishes the fight. A fool gets frustrated and quits. A warrior stands firm, knowing the delay isn't the end. It's just the setup, and that's you. You don't let setbacks shake you. You don't let silence scare you. You don't waste energy proving yourself to people who don't matter. You move with patience, because patience keeps you in control. And when the time is right, when all the waiting, the struggle, the lessons finally align, you won't just step into your moment. You'll own it. Most people don't make it through the waiting season. They start strong, hopeful, determined, convinced that their moment is coming. But as time stretches on and the results don't show, they crack. They start questioning, doubting, compromising. And then they fold. They let frustration consume them, mistaking delay for denial, silence for rejection. They let impatience drive them into desperate decisions. But you don't break, you sharpen. Because while they see waiting as wasted time, you see it for what it is, a battleground where the dangerous are made. Most people only move when they feel inspired. They rely on motivation, on visible results, on external validation to keep going. That's why they don't last. But you move whether you feel like it or not. When the doors stay closed, when the path isn't clear, when everything in you wants to quit, you keep showing up. Because discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you're going. And the most dangerous person, the one who doesn't wait for perfect conditions, they execute no matter what. Distractions are everywhere. Doubt, comparison, temptations disguised as opportunities. The weak chase every shortcut, every easy way out, every quick dopamine hit. That's why they never build anything that lasts. But you stay locked in. You don't chase trends. You don't beg for attention. You don't force what isn't meant to be forced. Because you understand this. Focus is a weapon. And the one who can stay focused when everything feels uncertain, that's the one who dominates when the time comes. Faith isn't tested when everything is going right. Faith is tested in the storm, in the silence, in the seasons where nothing makes sense. That's when most people lose it. They stop believing. They let fear replace faith. Let impatience replace trust. But you hold the line. Because real faith doesn't need proof. It walks in confidence before the breakthrough even comes. And the one who can stand firm when everything looks impossible, that's the one who will be unstoppable when the doors finally open. Right now, you feel like you're being pulled back, held back, delayed, stuck. But what you don't see is that you're not being left behind. You're being positioned because you are an arrow in the hands of God. And before an arrow is launched forward, it has to be pulled back. The greater the pullback, the greater the launch. The longer the wait, the greater the impact. Right now, God is pulling you back, not to hold you down, but to prepare you for the kind of momentum no force can stop. Bitterness is easy. Most people let the wait make them weak. They let resentment poison them, let frustration make them settle for less. But you use the wait to get stronger. Every delay sharpens you. Every setback fuels you. Every no makes you more relentless. Because when you refuse to break in the waiting season, you become the kind of person who can't be broken at all. Then, suddenly, everything shifts. The wait that felt endless, over. The silence that tested you, gone. The breakthrough that seemed impossible, right in front of you. It won't be gradual. It won't be subtle. It will be a storm, because that's how God works. One moment you're hidden. The next, you're undeniable. Doors that refuse to open will swing wide. Opportunities you never saw coming will land at your feet. People who ignored you will suddenly remember your name. And the ones who doubted you, they won't know what hit them. You were never being denied. You were never being forgotten. You were being prepared. Because God doesn't do small breakthroughs. When He moves, He makes it clear. No one can take credit but Him. That's why the wait was long. That's why it hurt. That's why you had to endure the silence. Not because you weren't ready for success, but because your success had to be undeniable. Most people never make it here. They quit in the waiting season. They give up before the breakthrough comes. They stop believing when things don't happen fast enough. That's why when the storm finally arrives, they're not the ones standing in it. But you stayed. You endured. You didn't let the silence break you. And now you get to step into what's yours. Because while others wasted their time doubting, you were sharpening. While they were complaining, you were preparing. While they were looking for shortcuts, you were mastering patience. That's why you're dangerous. Because now, you're not just stepping into success, you're built for it. A storm brews in silence. The winds gather strength. The pressure builds. The sky darkens, but there's no warning, no sound, no sign. And then, suddenly, it arrives. Powerful, undeniable, unstoppable. That's you now. Because everything you went through wasn't wasted. It was fuel. Every no that frustrated you, fire. Every delay that tested you, growth. Every time you wanted to quit but didn't. Proof that you're built different. That's why when God finally says go, there's no hesitation. You don't second guess. You don't shrink back. You don't doubt if you're ready. You just move. Because patience didn't weaken you. It refined you. It turned you into something unshakable, unbreakable, unstoppable. And now it's time to go. You weren't waiting in vain. You were being sharpened. All this time you thought you were stuck. You thought God had forgotten you, left you in the dark, overlooked your prayers. But what you didn't see was the work happening behind the scenes. You weren't buried, you were planted. And now it's time to rise. You wanted fast results. God wanted lasting results. You wanted an open door. God wanted a foundation that couldn't be shaken. You wanted movement. God wanted transformation. And now that you have it, there's no looking back. Because when you finally step into your purpose, there is no more room for hesitation. No more explaining yourself to people who don't understand the journey. No more apologizing for the strength you earned in silence. No more watering yourself down to make others comfortable. You were built for this. Every delay, every test, every moment of doubt, it all led to this. And the ones who doubted you, the ones who counted you out, the ones who thought you'd stay stuck, they'll watch, but they won't recognize you. Because you're not the same. You're sharper, you're wiser, you're unshakable. They thought you needed their validation. They thought their rejection would break you. But they were wrong. God's delays were never denials. They were a setup. They were a lesson. They were fuel. And now, when you move with purpose. This time you don't hesitate. This time you don't seek approval. This time you don't let fear dictate your pace, because you already spent too long waiting. Now it's time to unleash everything inside you. The struggle didn't make you weak. It made you a force. The waiting didn't hold you back. It built momentum. The silence didn't mean absence. It meant preparation. Stay patient. Stay dangerous. And when the time comes, unleash everything inside you.